How's it going, YouTube? And welcome back to a proper My Comic Life. Now, my name's David, and this is just a little comic vlog where I talk about all the different type of comics I've been reading out there throughout the day. And also, I'm going to start talking about some comic book news, comic book movie news, anything in the world of the comic books. So, DC Universe has been going pretty dang good for the past, 5 months has been out. And the only downside is that it hasn't come out or become available on the PS4, Xbox One. Those are like two of the main things that people have in their homes, and they're like, we can't watch it. And also, other countries outside the United States can't watch or get onto the streaming service as of yet. But good news, today, DC Universe announced that Xbox One's app for their streaming service is going to be coming out later this month or as early as today. Now, I haven't heard any reports of it coming out today, but it's really good news, especially since the streaming service announced at, I think, WonderCon that they're going to have over 20,000 different comics that are going to be available. Once a comic has been released for at least a year, it's going to be coming onto the digital service. So all of this news has me really excited. And if you notice, on my channel, I don't really talk about Marvel or DC, but now, since this streaming service and all these comics are becoming available, I'm going to do an in-depth dive and do a video on certain writers or artists on their time with said book. I have just purchased Marvel Unlimited, so I'm going to go and I want to look at Jason Aaron's Thor run, which looks amazing. I remember when it came out, and the whole God Butcher, I read that, but then I got a little out of comics, because money's tight, because comics are really expensive. So I got out of it, but knowing that I think with War of the Realms, that once that's done, Jason Aaron's run with Thor is complete. So, knowing that there's an end in sight with his run on Thor, I thought it'd be fun to do an in-depth review and just talk about his run and my first experience with it outside like the first 6 some odd issues. So that's all for the news today, which is some really cool stuff. I have 5 comics that I want to talk about that I've read in the last 24 hours. Wolfborn issue number 1 by Scout Comics. The Goon issue number 1. Self-Made issue number 5. I love this cover. This cover is absolutely gorgeous. Lodger issue number 3, issue number 4. And finally, we're going to start off with Red Sonja. Red Sonja has been one of those books that I have loved since I started reading it with this brand new run with, what's her? I don't see the name of the writer or the art team. But this has been a really awesome story. Red Sonja went to her cousin's homeland, and they heard that she was coming, and also his homeland heard about this emperor that was potentially coming to their neck of the woods and possibly taking over their city. So they go ask Red Sonja to actually help them out and become their queen to go and fight back this emperor. Now this city, this little land is poor, is really poor. And the emperor should have an easy job at taking on this little city. And Red Sonja, she is such a badass in this. Every single issue, she has a moment to shine. And in this book, it's all the same. There's this one amazing scene where she gets some men from the village to help her. And this guy comes up and says, I will pay 1 gold to anybody who doesn't go to fight and goes back home. And raise your hand if you want it. People raised their hand. He gave them one thing of gold. And then he said, also, and now to the rest of you, I'll give you a bag of gold to leave. And people were like, yeah, I'll take that. And then again, she had a couple more people. And then this guy says, I will give you your own farmland. I'll give you your own farm to quit. So basically, she was left with just 3 soldiers that said, no, I am going to fight for my land. Good coffee. And so we have Red Sonja, who is up against a battle that seems like she's going to lose. She sends her cousin, who's basically the only family she has left, says, you get out of Dodge, I want you to survive. Well, he gets out, but he comes back with some little bit of help. This story has been really well done. I like how it doesn't just focus on Red Sonja, it focuses on the individuals in this community, and also it focuses on the Emperor, where issue number 2 had some really intriguing parts with the Emperor going, preparing to go and try to take over the land that Red Sonja has occupied. And he tells his son, he gives him a rope with a whole bunch of knots. Says, for every single day that I'm gone, undo one of the knots. And by the end, if you know that I have not returned, assume I'm dead. And just know that whoever your mother marries and has a son or has a child, that child's going to try to kill you and try to take over your spot that would have been, become emperor of our kingdom. So it's been a really well done book. If you have been disappointed in Marvel's new Conan books and saying, ooh, I don't know if this is really for me, Red Sonja is terrific. This book, it just does so much for the Swords and Sandals, and it doesn't, like, as you see on here, like, I just thought of her just this gal that just wears this bikini and goes and slays things. But no, Red Sonja feels so much more than that. Red Sonja, the new volume that's come out with the new issue number 1 just a couple months ago, go look for it at your local comic book shop or find it digitally. It is so worth it. It's only 3 issues in, and it is by far one of my favorite books that I am reading currently. Now onto a book that's the penultimate issue, Lodger's issue number 4. Lodger has been a really intriguing story. I've actually reread every single issue when a new issue comes out. And it's been about a couple months, I think it's actually since December, since the last time we've got a new Lodger issue. So it was really good for me to go back. The storyline is that this our female character that we're following, she and her family let a man into their home to go and live in their the backyard in like the granny unit. And this man comes in their home, slowly just destroys it. Gives a little bit of, hey, how about this? Oh, and just gets everybody intertwined into some family drama that eventually murder happens. And this girl, who's about 16 at the time, she sees this and she can't stop it because she's infatuated with this guy that just moved in. Eventually murder happens, and now that she's 18, she has made it her mission to go and find this man. Now this man has been having this little blog that he's been going and talking about all of his journey throughout America. And she has been following this, and she wants to find him. Now when he's going to all these little towns, he is causing chaos. Murder happens when he's there, and he's always involved. But the thing is that the twist is that a lot of people don't know who he is or know he's around. Is because the kind of downfall of this book is the fact that our main villain, he goes and dons these masks, kind of like you would see in a Mission Impossible, where he would be a different person, and he'd be like an old dude one moment, and then the next moment he's back to his regular self. And he's always causing all this chaos around him, all this murder. And now that our girl is out after him, we see in the first 2 issues that she is not straight laced. She's not a good person at all. She has caused a lot of bad trying to find this man. And all in the name of trying to find him, she's becoming just like him. So in this issue, I would say the first 2 issues focus a lot on her. And the last 2 issues, issue number 3 and 4, have focused more on the guy who's killing all these people. And I would say that I like her story a little bit more because his is a little bit, I would say hers, there's more depth to it. I feel like he's more shallow as a character, because when he is when he's the main focus, you kind of know what to expect. But with her, you don't. And in issue number 5, you can definitely tell that they're going to become head to head, and I don't know if any of them will come out alive. So if you are intrigued in what I just said, when this comes out in trade paperback, go and try to find this, because it's done by husband and wife, and it is really well done. It's really good noir. There's some points in there where you're kind of like, okay, his whole get up with being able to put on a mask and be able to be someone else and no one knowing who he actually is. It's at times it feels kind of far-fetched because he is a character that is a drifter, and I don't know if he has all the supplies at his hand, and like he has like, yeah, it feels a little bit far-fetched with that aspect. But when you focus on our main female character and her drama, it's some good stuff, and she's definitely not a good person. Now on to a new number 1. Books are falling. Now on to a new number 1, The Goon, issue number 1. I was really excited to pick this book up because I remember hearing about The Goon. I never actually read a Goon book, but with a new number 1 and me now picking up books on Discount Comic Book Service, I'm able to pick up these type of books where my local comic book shop would not pick them up. And then I was surprised, though, to see that The Goon, yes, they did pick up issue number 1. And I do have issue number 2 coming to me. And I got the variant issue, which cost me like $6. And it has cardstock. And I was really intrigued to see what cardstock's like. And also, it's an Alex Ross cover. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'll definitely get the Alex Ross cover. But issue number 1, it is not the best jumping on point. Yes, this issue takes a lot of time to explain almost the world of the Goon, where the first scene is him being thrown off the ship and being like said, we never want you to come back, you're never welcome back. And so he's back into his old stomping grounds. And I had no idea that there were zombies in this old stomping grounds, and now that he was gone for a while, different zombies have taken, or ghouls have taken over different territories, and then there's all these gangs involved. More coffee. And so I was really shocked to see that. And then there's some backstory of some stories that have happened before. So if you're going into this book thinking that this is like a true new number 1 or like a reboot, it's not. Although I have to say, though, it was not the worst new number 1 that has prior continuity. That it does a good enough job to explain the world of the Goon, so you're pretty much all caught up. And I do like this part where the Goon and his buddy, I forget what his name is, but they're like, all right, we need to find ourselves a place to stay. And this ghoul type character who's like a realtor agent comes in, and he's like, all right, I'll show you all these different places. And he's like, and this house, and it's all being down, and it has a dead man's curse on it. And they're like, no, we don't want this one. They go to another rundown place, and he's like, oh, it has this, it has that. All of it sounds really trashy and really terrible, and it has a dead man's curse. And eventually he takes them just to a mud pit, and he's just like, here you go. And so little things like that, I was like, there's a lot of good humor in here. The Goon definitely feels like a brute, which you could definitely tell from the cover. That's what he's supposed to be. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Would I say that I'm going to pick up issue number, or keep on picking this series up, and yeah, definitely. There was enough humor in here, and I liked the art. The art was really nice. Not a lot of color to it, or any color really at all. Black and white mostly. From what I recall, it was just some really good art. Fun little story elements. Not much in there except for the ending does, which I will not spoil. It does have a moment where I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued to see where this ghoul, like vampire, werewolf type of or the world that I am in with the Goon, where it's going to go from here. And if you've read any previous Goon stuff, let me know. What have you thought of the Goon, and should I go back and try to read some of the prior stuff? I'm really interested. I'm gonna probably look at Comixology Unlimited to see if they have any available. And now, on to I'll save Wolfborn for the last, because that was a really good book. Self-Made issue number 5. Self-Made has been a really intriguing story. You had this computer programmer or AI programmer who created true artificial intelligence. And this game manufacturer was like, we don't want, this seems broken. But the creator goes and basically takes her onto a floppy or a disk drive and takes her home and puts her into this body. And she is now on the run because she's committed some crime unintentionally, and now she's on the run. It is a really intriguing story. Every single issue is moving at such a brisk pace that at times when you get to this issue, you're like, I missed a lot. Because there's actually a time jump in this, where the last issue, it leaves with her, with our main character on the run. And now we find her, she's found, hopefully a home that she, or a little bit of safe haven, with this other AI programmer. Or I wouldn't say he's not an AI program. It's more like this scientist who thinks that the world that they actually live in is like the Matrix. So it's like the Matrix inside the Matrix inside the Matrix with this story. And this scientist who thinks that they themselves are in the Matrix, he has found a code or a way to get out. And him and his team decide to use that code to see if there was truly an other side, and he was the only one that didn't go through with it. And so our main character finds this finds out this information. She goes to him, and the people that are after her get to her home, or get to where she's at in her asylum. And I'm gonna leave that at that. This book has done some terrific job with getting your expectations and just hitting it out of the ballpark. This book, I think after issue number 6, will most likely that would be the first trade, and then hopefully in the next month, Self-Made will be coming out in a trade, which it will be. But hopefully in next month it will come out in trade, and a lot of more people will check this book out, because I think this is one of those books that's one of the best create your own stories that's going on at this moment. And now on to Scout Comics Wolfborn issue number 2. Now Wolfborn is really, like, I have started to dabble into some will say almost like the True Independence, not the Image, Dark Horse, any of the big indie companies, but these little guys. Wolfborn is written and drawn by Brian Middleton Jr. And the art in here is fantastic. It's all black and white, and it works so well. Like, just look at this cover. Just look at that. It's just so beautiful. The blacks and the whites and everything just goes together so well. And the storyline is that our main character, Wolfborn, has gone into this cave, or more likely hell. And he's going to go and try to, as I thought, save his girlfriend, or the damsel in distress type of scenario. And I was really intrigued into it, but I thought this is kind of a story that's been done before. Issue number 2, really, it put that whole entire scenario and made me go, nope, that's not actually true at all. This is more of a metaphor of a man who was told by his lover, or the person that he truly loved, that they couldn't be together anymore because she has because she's soon to be possibly a queen, and so her royalty, she cannot be with him because her country needs her more. And she tells him, don't give up on love. Let yourself still be able to love somebody else. And he's going through this cave. He's dealing with this anger that he has, and he wants to just hide everything and not let anybody in. And he's eventually going against these monsters that are trying to harden basically his heart. And then through all this darkness, he meets this person that's almost like an angel. And they explain to it that this person that he has met is just like the first snowfall that's happened, but it's still too warm and the snow is dissipating. And so this being cannot talk. And so he uses a psychic link to talk to him. And the story between him and her telling him the story of how she lost her voice and lost this thing that made her special and how that changed her, and it was some beautiful stuff. And you really see some character growth from this character as he is trying to harden his heart to any type of emotion, but hearing her story is kind of, seeing things in a different light and seeing what things could become if you don't let yourself grow and to let yourself love. And so there's a lot of depth into this book. This book, I know if you go to your comic book stores, most likely you will not be able to find it. But for me, I'm just so glad that on Discount Comic Book Service I picked it up. You can read it on Comixology, which I would, give a big thumbs up to. And I like this book so much. There is times where the art is not as good as the previous panel, where you see a little bit of a rush in there, but there's some really good stuff. And when I really like a book, I'm like, I want all the different variant covers. And luckily, with these independent books that are not like the Dynamite, which Dynamite is just as bad as Marvel with putting out their variant covers. With these indie covers, usually issue number 1 is the only one that has the variant, and there is a variant for Wolfborn, and it's going for like $50. So I'm like, I want to get it. I do. I'm gonna save up some money, see if it maybe goes down a little bit in price, or I get it at a better price. But this is definitely, Wolfborn is a book that I want to get the full entire collection. And I think issue number 3 is possibly the last of the issues, or last of the series. And so go and read this book on Comixology. You will definitely not be disappointed. So I am so happy to do this episode. I'm so happy to be back. I feel so much better, and I'm going to try to keep on with the regular schedule, talking about some comics, talking about some comic book news. It's gonna be a fun time. I got my coffee, which always keeps me up at night. No, it doesn't. But I'm just glad to be back. So this is my comic life. If you liked what you've seen here, hit that subscribe button, rate, comment, subscribe. Anything you could do to support this channel and get everyone else to know about it, let your friends know. Just it's a place where you're just gonna have a good time. And if you like comics, this is the place to be. So as always, people, my name is David Lee. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on My Comic Life.